Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. William Shatner will always be remembered for playing Captain Kirk in Star Trek, but his favorite sci-fi movie has nothing to do with the classic franchise. The Canadian actor was already an accomplished performer by the time he landed the starring role in CBS' ambitious sci-fi program, Star Trek. But the series would be his lasting legacy. Shatner returned in the Star Trek movies, and films like Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan have gone on to transcend the franchise to become all-time classics. However, when asked about his favorite science fiction films, Shatner's picks were actually quite surprising. Most surprisingly of all was that a Star Trek movie didn't top the list. In 2023, Trek Talking compiled a list of William Shatner's favorite sci-fi films straight from the mouth of the man himself, and Steven Spielberg's 1982 classic was at the top. Shatner called E.T. the Extraterrestrial one of the most profound science fiction films because it dealt with childhood fantasy, digging deep into its heartfelt message. Shatner isn't alone in his love for E.T., and there's a reason that the movie is timeless. As mentioned, the story is told through the eyes of a youngster, which gives every aspect a larger-than-life sense of excitement. Spielberg's direction is also key to the movie's success, and few filmmakers use cinema to effectively convey emotion like the Oscar winner. While it's a long way from Star Trek, E.T. the Extraterrestrial does have thematic similarities to the aforementioned franchise. Both represent a rosy view of science fiction, with aliens and outer space seen as an opportunity to learn and grow, and not as a threat. Underneath all that, E.T. is also a perfectly crafted movie all around. After placing E.T. at the top of his list, William Shatner named 8 other great sci-fi films that he considers his favorites. Among established classics like 2001, A Space Odyssey and Alien, Shatner actually listed one of his own movies. Though it's often overlooked, Shatner named Star Trek, the motion picture, as his favorite Star Trek movie. The visually stunning but dull affair is the only Star Trek movie Shatner listed, beating out classics like The Wrath of Khan. Shatner applauded the movie's strength of character and story development, something it actually does quite well. Considering his personal connection to the franchise, it's clear that the motion picture holds a special place for the screen legend. However, when digging into the rest of his list, his love for the motion picture becomes clearer. William Shatner is clearly fascinated by the existential questions posed by science fiction, hence his love for films like 2001. The motion picture is the most existential Star Trek film by far, even if it largely misses the mark in its final execution. When you hear the name William Shatner, one word inevitably comes to mind: Star Trek. Captain James T. Kirk is more than just Shatner's most famous role. It's the role that redefined his career, changed the trajectory of science fiction television, and made him a household name. For decades, fans have associated Shatner with the USS Enterprise, phasers, warp drives, and boldly going where no one has gone before. Yet, despite this deep connection, the legendary actor's favorite sci-fi movie isn't a Star Trek feature. Instead, Shatner points to an unexpected but iconic gem from the 1980s, The Terminator 1984. That revelation surprises many Trekkies. After all, Shatner starred in several Star Trek films, including Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, a movie often hailed as one of the greatest science fiction films of all time. But when Shatner has been asked over the years about the sci-fi movie that truly captured his imagination, he has given a nod not to his own franchise, but to James Cameron's The Terminator. Let's dive into why this 80s classic holds such a special place in Shatner's heart, and what it says about the evolution of science fiction storytelling. Released in 1984, The Terminator was the brainchild of a then-up-and-coming director named James Cameron. Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger as the unstoppable cyborg assassin, Linda Hamilton as the reluctant hero Sarah Connor, and Michael Biehn as the time-traveling protector Kyle Reese, the film blended raw science fiction concepts with relentless action and a sense of existential dread. The story was deceptively simple yet deeply profound. Machines have risen against humanity in a future war, and to secure their victory, they send a killer robot back in time to eliminate the mother of the future resistance leader. humanity's only hope? Sending back a lone soldier to protect her. Shatner has often praised the Terminator for its tight storytelling, relentless pace, and emotional weight. Unlike many sci-fi films of the era that leaned heavily on flashy visuals or campy gimmicks, the Terminator combined heart-pounding thrills with a philosophical underpinning. The fear of technology surpassing humanity, the fragility of free will, and the question of whether destiny is fixed or can be altered. For Shatner, who spent years exploring big moral and ethical dilemmas on Star Trek, the Terminator's approach to these themes resonated deeply. Why not Star Trek? Some might assume Shatner would choose Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, or perhaps Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home as his favorite. Both films are widely loved, with Wrath of Khan often cited as the pinnacle of Trek storytelling. Yet Shatner has explained that while he cherishes his contributions to the franchise, his own films carry the weight of personal responsibility. As Kirk, he wasn't merely watching the story, he was the story. That distinction matters. When you're the face of a franchise, every choice, every performance, and every line delivery is scrutinized. Watching those films, Shatner isn't simply a viewer swept up in the drama. He's an actor analyzing his own work. Did that scene land? Did the special effects age well? Did the script capture the grandeur of Gene Roddenberry's vision? By contrast, The Terminator offered Shatner the rare opportunity to be an audience member again. Free from the pressure of carrying the weight of a cultural juggernaut, he could sit back, relax, and lose himself in Cameron's dystopian vision. For Shatner, The Terminator wasn't just a sci-fi movie, it was a reminder of why people fall in love with science fiction in the first place. A shared sci-fi legacy. It's worth noting that The Terminator and Star Trek aren't as far apart as they may seem. Both grapple with questions of humanity's place in the universe, the potential dangers of technology, and the eternal battle between hope and despair. Where Star Trek often imagined an optimistic future, one in which humanity overcame its flaws and worked toward peace, The Terminator presented the flip side of the coin. A nightmare where humanity failed to control its creations and paid the price. Together, the two franchises form a fascinating yin and yang of science fiction storytelling. Shatner himself, as a performer, has always been drawn to big, operatic themes: love, death, sacrifice, destiny. These are as central to The Terminator as they are to Star Trek. Kyle Reese's devotion to Sarah Connor mirrors the kind of loyalty Kirk demanded from his crew. Sarah's transformation from an ordinary waitress into a hardened warrior echoes the resilience often shown by Trek's heroes. Even Schwarzenegger's Terminator, with its single-minded purpose, echoes the cold logic of adversaries like the Borg. Perhaps that's why Shatner sees The Terminator as more than just an action flick. In many ways, it's the darker cousin to the optimistic universe he helped popularize. The Shatner-Cameron connection. Though Shatner and James Cameron never worked together directly, it's not hard to see why Shatner would admire Cameron's storytelling. Both men share a flair for drama and spectacle. Shatner's larger-than-life portrayal of Kirk made him an icon, while Cameron's eye for scale and tension redefined blockbuster cinema. Cameron, much like Gene Roddenberry, had a way of grounding fantastical ideas in human emotion. In The Terminator, the love story between Sarah and Kyle gives the film its beating heart. Shatner has often emphasized the importance of human connection in science fiction. Without it, he argues, the genre becomes cold and mechanical. In that sense, Cameron's work perfectly aligns with Shatner's own artistic philosophy. Why this choice matters, at first glance. William Shatner naming The Terminator as his favorite sci-fi film may seem like a trivial bit of trivia, but it reveals something profound about both Shatner and the genre he helped define. It shows that even the icons of science fiction are fans themselves, moved, thrilled, and inspired by the creativity of others. It also highlights the importance of variety in science fiction. While Star Trek offered a hopeful, intellectual exploration of the future, The Terminator delivered a gritty, cautionary tale. Both visions matter, and both have shaped the way audiences think about technology, humanity, and destiny. For fans, it's a reminder that even the great Captain Kirk can be awestruck by a story. In fact, it's a beautiful image. William Shatner, the face of Star Trek, sitting in a theater in 1984, watching Schwarzenegger declare, "I'll be back," and feeling the same rush of adrenaline as the rest of us. Final thoughts. William Shatner will always be remembered as Captain Kirk, the man who turned space, the final frontier, into a household phrase. But when it comes to the science fiction movie that truly captured his imagination, he looks not to his own work, but to James Cameron's The Terminator. It's a choice that underscores Shatner's appreciation for tight storytelling, emotional resonance, and the way science fiction can hold up a mirror to humanity's fears and dreams. More importantly, it's a reminder that even legends of the genre are still, at heart, fans, ready to be transported, challenged, and inspired by a well-told story. In the end, Shatner's love for the Terminator proves one thing. Whether it's aboard the Enterprise or running from killer machines, the power of science fiction lies in its ability to make us feel something bigger than ourselves. And that's a frontier worth exploring.